Good morning and welcome to another keyboard class, beginning keyboard. So it's a new year and we've covered a lot of ground. I haven't had an opportunity to see anybody except Judy, my girlfriend. We live together, and she was working on When the Saints Go Marching In the other day, and it was an opportunity for me to see what I don't get when I'm just videotaping the lesson. I don't get any feedback. I don't know where anybody is, and so when she was struggling with The Saints Go Marching In, I suggested one hand at a time. You know, do the treble clef and separately and the bass clef separately, and when you feel comfortable with each of those, when you put those together, it's so much easier. And right away I could see the help that it gave her. But that's because I was there. I could see very quickly what was needed, and that's what I don't have right here. And so I decided starting the new year, starting these lessons, that one of the things I wish I would have done earlier is, before I proceed with a new lesson, go back and do like a 5-minute review of what we just did. But, you know, I've never done it like this before. So what I've decided to begin with for this lesson and the next lesson, we're going to go back, not to the beginning, but we're going to go back and review most of what we've done so far, so that anybody who is behind or is struggling, hopefully this will help. And then in the future, when we do a new lesson, I'm going to go back and review what we just did and then move on. So I'm hoping that that will help. So to begin with, we're going to start on page 30. This is the harmonic fourths and fifths. So one of the things that I've tried to encourage people to do is to read every day, read music every day. So let's begin just looking at the top there. In the treble clef, we've got CF for the fourth and CG for the fifth. So CF and CG. And then when you look at the bass clef for the fourth, you've got a DG and a CG, right? So right hand is right, and then the left hand is DG and CG. So looking at Jingle Bells, just read, I'm going to read a few lines just to get into the groove of reading, okay? So starting with the bass clef and going up to the treble, you've got CG, E, 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 CG, E, 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 CG, E, G, C, D, C, G, E. And then DG, F, 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 C, G, F, E, E, E. Okay? So just to get into the habit of reading every day, and that's a good way to start. And the other thing is, going back like this, for me, when I go back, it's not so much practice as it's a way to warm up. You warm up with things that you've already learned how to play and you feel comfortable with, and you can play smoothly. So you go back and you warm up before you learn something new, playing the things that you already know. So looking at this, we've got So we're dealing with fourths and fifths. So over here on page 51, with just a quick review of this. So they give you the fingering here. And you see where you can write in the letter of the key. And so as we move down, you've done all that, I'm sure. And if you haven't, well, I can't do anything about it. It's to help you. Anything that you do towards reading and knowing what is just going to make it easier for you, especially when you're learning new things. So going down to dueling harmonics, we're going to do this very slowly. So. One of the keys and why it's good to practice is getting both notes played together, right? Okay, so moving on, we're dealing with the C chord with the left hand and the C chord with the right hand. So you've done that, so going over to page 33. Okay, so when let's do a little reading here. You've got C, E, G, right? And that's your C chord, C, E, G. And then in the treble clef, C, D, E, C, C, E, G, C, D, E, C, C, E, G, E, F, G, C, E, G, E, F, G, and then G, F, E, C. Now, when you get over to the last two measures, you've got your quarter note and then a rest in the bass clef, a quarter rest, and then a quarter rest in the treble, and then this is 4/4 time. So in the bottom, that little box there facing up is a half rest. So just a review, right? Quarter rest and half rest. Okay, so, and then down below, here's a happy song. Okay, so that's the way basically that sounds. Okay, going on to page 34. Now, okay, we're dealing with the C chords, right? And then in that, the new one is, so you got C, E, G, B, F, G, right? That's a G7. Okay, so from C to G7, so all right, C, G7, C. So now over here on page 35, just a reminder, so you're holding with when you have two notes on the same line or space, and you have that little line going across it, that's a hold, which is different than a slur, which is notes on different lines and spaces. So in this case, we've got the C, E, G chord in the left hand on page 35 that is held for 8 counts, because this is 4/4 time, and In the first measure, it's 4 beats. In the second measure, it's 4 beats. Okay? So, and then the G7, G7, C. Okay? And then down below, played slowly. So again, when the notes are on the same line, it's a hold, okay? Okay, going over to 36. In the right hand now, the C and the G7 chord. So C, E, G, B, F, G. Okay, so reading over here at Marianne, you've got an E, G, E, G, E, D, F, F, B, F, G, B, F, G, B, F, G, which is your G7, right? In the next line, you've got D, F, F, B, D, D, C, E, E, so here's that hold again, right? So C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E, G, okay, so, and then just repeating, so, okay, so. That C you're holding, right, from the second to the last measure, and then, right, so, all right, moving along. So, C's, G7, C. So you've written in the little boxes there so you know what's there. So the G7 is B, F, G, right? And then with the right hand, now they talk about, because you know your G chord is up here, right? So you're at C, and then you go to the G chord, and if it's a G7, it's like that, right? But you have to move all the way from here all the way to here for a G7. Now that's 4 notes, but they simplify it, making it 3, but they also simplify it by changing it here, and so it's easy to move, okay? So, and then down below you've got 4/4 time. Now, if you look at the very last measure, you have the box there facing down, that's a whole rest. That's so in this case it's 4/4 time, so 4-beat rest. Okay, so going over to page 40, we're dealing with quarter notes and dotted quarter notes. So in the example of 3/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 3/4 notes, or a dotted half note is when you dot a note, it's worth half. So if you're dotting a half note, which is 2 beats, you add a beat, right? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Basically is what we're dealing with. So when you look at rockets, in the third measure, your G7 chord is held for 3 beats. And in the next measure, your C chord is held for 2 because they're half notes and with a quarter rest, right? So that's what we're dealing with here. Just a review on dotted notes. In this case, a dotted half note. So. So they say moderately fast. Okay, and then the next page you've got just some reviews in terms of writing in 3/4 time. So how many beats does each note get? So all of those kinds of things are important. So reviewing the dynamics, forte, which means loud, mezzo forte is moderately loud, and P for piano is soft, okay? So down below we have 2 different time signatures. We're beginning with 3/4 time, and then down below it's 4/4 time. So looking at just the treble clef, you've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is C, G7, C, G7, C, G7, and C for 6 beats. And then in the left hand, you've got C. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So it's C, G7, C, G7, C, G7, and C. Okay? Okay, now here's the difference between the slur and the tie. The tie is where the notes are on the same line, so you hold it, whereas a slur, you play legato, or, smoothly connected, okay? So just do a quick read of this, starting with the bass clef. So we'll go from the bass clef to the treble clef. So E, F, G, C, C, E, G, C, E, G, D, B, F, G, B, F, G, E, C, E, G, C, E, G. Okay, second line. E, F, G, C, C, E, G, C, E, G, D, B, F, G, B, F, G, okay? So basically, that's what we're dealing with throughout. So, and you see the slur, which goes from the first measure all the way to the 4th measure, and that's throughout. So it's going to be in the left hand for the first 2 lines, and then in the right hand in the second 2 lines. Now, reading right here, they oftentimes give you some information about how it should be played. Moderately slow. Okay? So. the same with the next page, day is done. And some work, you can always review the reading. Okay, so now with the left hand in the bass clef, we're dealing with C, E, G, but now C, F, A, right? C, E, G, C, F, A. So you've got a C chord, an F chord, and a C chord. So your F chord would be here, and your C down here, but by making it like this, it's an easy transition from one chord to the next. And so that's what the whole point. So whenever I'm going over a piece like this, where you have up above the chords that you're going to be using, that's good practice and a good warm-up before you play something. So here you've got C chords, G7, C, and F. Okay? So when the saints go marching in, march time. So play it fast, play it slow, it's up to you. And then repeat, okay? And one of the things that I like about the way they approach this next one, which is also the Saints Go Marching In, it's just the reverse. Instead of playing the melody with the right hand, you're playing it with the left hand. So you're playing the chords with the right hand, just the opposite of what we just did. But it's an interesting way of looking at a musical piece, you know. So it's still C, E, G, C, F, A. There's your F. And the interesting thing is that it's the same, it sounds the same, and yet it sounds different. You know, it's very, very interesting. I really like this approach. So. Now, in the beginning of the third line, there is a rest there, and that's an important rest, I think. So, okay, moving right along. So the F chord, now we're dealing with C, F, A, right? C, F, C, F, C, G7, C, okay? So, rhythmically, I'm going to lay my burden down. This is basically all in the bass clef, but part of it too is you're starting with an uneven measure. You've got 3 beats in the first measure, and in the very end of the piece, 1 beat in the measure. And so it's 4/4 time, and this is introducing you to an uneven beginning and ending. So here we have C, E, we have okay, C, E, F, C, E, G, C, E, G, C, F, A, C, F, A, C, E, G, C, E, F, C, E, G, C, E, G, C, F, A, C, F, A, C, E, G, E, F, E, B, F, G, B, and then you hold, and then F, E, D, C, C, E, G, C, F, A, C, F, A, C, E, G, okay? One, two, three, four, one. Okay. All right, so the next page, 49, the F chord for the right hand. So here's C, there's F. One, two, three, one, two, three. And then you got your waltzing chords down here. F, C, F, C, G7. All right. So now the G position, intervals in G. So I'm just going to slide that a little bit like that. So you're starting with G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, C, D, E, so, right? So, and in the right hand, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, wait, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G. All right. So you've moved up, your little finger is on G, and your thumb is on G up here. So an octave separation. Okay, so then in your intervals, you've got second, third, fourth, and fifth. So it's G, A, G, B, G, C, G, D, and then D, C, D, B, D, A, D, G, right? And then, so those are your melodic intervals, if you'll remember, and then your harmonic intervals is when you play them together. Second, third, fourth, fifth, second, third, fourth, fifth. So, melodic intervals played separately, harmonic intervals played together. So, page 51, Love Someone, or Love Somebody. And repeat, but I'm not going to. So let's move on to the Friends Like You. And then repeat, okay? All right, so there's places there for you to write in the notes all along the way there, and then down below to actually put a note in depending on what you should. And then you've got your melodic intervals here that you've already done, I'm sure, and then your harmonic intervals. And then now we're dealing with our first sharp. So a sharp is a half step above wherever you are. So if you're here at F, your sharp is half step up, so that's your F sharp right there. In this case, we're dealing with C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, okay? And we are also dealing with A sharp, A sharp, A sharp, okay? So, still in the G position, so. Okay, so you've got, let me just do a quick read here. You've got a D, D, C sharp, D. Okay, so I'm starting on the treble clef and then I'm going to work down, okay? So D, and that's another thing, is the more that you feel comfortable reading up and down, the more you'll feel comfortable reading no matter what. So, D, D, C sharp, D, B, D, G, and then moving up, G, B, D, no, G, D, B, G, D, B, 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 A sharp, B, G, D, B, G, D, B, G, D, B, G, B, A, G, A, D, C, C, D, A, D, C, okay? So that's the idea. So, okay, so then there's some exercises for you drawing in the sharp, how it should be done. Okay, I'm just going to do this very quickly because this is a good exercise too. So you're in the G position, you've got all 5 fingers here. You press them all down and then you lift up your number 1, which is your thumb, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In your second finger, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So individually, you're holding everything down except the finger that you're working with, and you're playing that one a few times. So that's a good way to gain strength. Okay? Okay, so G, D7, D7, G. Okay, so okay, so you're going from G, D7, G, basically, in this one. So you've got G, B, D, D, B, D, D, B, G, B, A, D, C, F sharp, G, A, G, D, B, G, okay? And then it just continues, so. Now, after the first line, you have a repeat there, so you're going to go back, okay, right? Okay. Okay, so now here, we're dealing with the right hand and the D7. But also we're going to be dealing with the foot pedal, the damper pedal, or the sustain pedal. And you can see there, the pedal is up in that position, you're holding it in that position, and then pedal up when you see that. So we're going to be dealing with in the right hand, and then broken. So this is the chord, C chord, or let's see, no, yeah, a G, B, D, yeah. So there's your G chord, G, B, D, and then your D7, and then broken, and then down below. Okay, so here's the damper. So if you see, if you hold it down. So in this one, you're holding it for most of the line, except when you get down to the bottom. Okay, so. Moderately slow. And then you can repeat. But so that's our introduction to the sustain pedal. Okay, moving on to page 62, Liza Jane. If you look at, you're going to be dealing with the same, with G, D7. So. Now this one, it says moderately fast, so you can begin slowly, and so you're dealing with B, G, A, G, B, D, D, and then G, B, D, B, B, D, B, G, F sharp, C, D, A, B, okay? So. Okay, and then over here with the right hand, D7, G, D7, so. All right. So you got block chords and broken chords. So now we're going to introduce E into the mixture here. So you've got G chord and C chord, but it's up here now. Okay, so looking at page 65, you got your G chord, you got your broken chord, C chord, D7. So again, that's good. Good to feel comfortable by playing that until you feel comfortable. Okay, so you've got some towards the end, a couple of different places you're going to be sustaining the sound. So. Okay, so there's places to write in the notes. Here we have your C, G, and C. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now with the right hand, G, B, D, G, C, E. G, C, G. So page 69. Okay, now this one, moderately slow, okay? So, and you're going to be sustaining, so. Okay, so just a continuation here in terms of C, G, C. Now here, slowly. And then repeat. Okay, so I would like to actually, I think this is probably a good place to stop. So we're going to begin next time on page 72 with the thumbs on C, so that both hands are in with your thumbs on C. It's a little awkward in the beginning, but I'm sure you've already been there, so it's just a review, and after next time's review, then we will continue where we left off. So thank you very much, and happy playing. And remember, you know, practice doesn't have to be a struggle. You know, if you look at it in the right way, I mean, most of us are not doing this because we expect to be concert pianists or anything. We're doing it for the joy. And so when you practice, when you play, it doesn't have to be practice. Don't look at it as a job. Just enjoy it. And everybody is in a different place. Everybody is at a different level, and it doesn't matter. Wherever you are is where you are, and so don't be discouraged if it's a struggle. Play, you know, hands separately until you feel comfortable. It's an easier way to move on and make it easy for yourself. So anyway, Happy New Year and happy playing. See you next time.